The Phantom Nanny. When my daughter was 6 months old, I started noticing some unusual behavior. She would laugh and babble like someone was playing with her when no one was there. She would start crying, and before I could even get to her, she would calm down and coo. I honestly didn't think much of it until I was up late one evening and caught a glimpse of a woman's reflection in the window. She was standing in the door between my office and my room, the door that was originally the front door of the house. I could see her clearly, a tall woman with dark hair wearing an old dressing gown. When I turned to look directly at her, she was gone. It was unsettling, but I never felt a negative presence in our house. The house was old, and we were the first owners who hadn't been descendants of the family that built it. I ignored her for the most part, though her interactions with my daughter became more frequent. The creepiest part was when my daughter woke crying in the night when she was almost a year old. My husband and I both got up to check on her, but I heard something odd over the baby monitor, and he grabbed my arm and put his finger over his lips. We stopped dead in our tracks and listened. There was the unmistakable sound of a woman singing a lullaby. Sure enough, our daughter quieted and said, "Night night." My husband ran into her room to check to make sure that she was okay. Everything was fine, luckily, but we cleansed the house the next day. The unexpected exorcism. I saw a girl get possessed when we were at a friend's house. I was outside hanging out when we heard the girl's mom crying and screaming. We walked in, and my friend, who is a big guy, was struggling to hold down his sister. I say she was possessed because she was talking in a man's voice. This was a 17-year-old girl and weighed only 110 pounds. She pushed her brother off and dropped to the floor. Then she elevated off the floor. Her torso was up in the air and only her feet and head were touching the ground. It was horrible. Most people left. I stayed and helped the brother hold her down. I was telling the spirit to go away. I don't know why I did it. I've always been spiritual and felt like I could help. After 20 minutes, she came back. She didn't remember anything. She didn't know what had happened. She was super confused and looked really messed up. She's okay now. Her brother and I kept in contact. The last time we spoke was about a year ago, and he still remembers that night pretty well. He thanked me for doing that, but I honestly don't think I did anything impressive. I just did what felt right and wanted to help. The Insane Asylum Phantom. Recently, a friend and I went to this place called Wood County Historical Museum near where I live. It used to be a hospital for the mentally insane, but now you can walk through and do tours, or you can just walk by yourself. Well, we didn't realize they closed at 4 p.m., so by the time we got there, we only got to see one building. The stairs that were there were roped off saying, "Do not enter." We were standing right there at the bottom of the stairs, and I kid you not, we heard footsteps going up and down the stairs. I looked at my friends and I'm like, "Are you doing that somehow?" They weren't. They weren't even moving. But we know what we heard. No doubt about it. We definitely heard footsteps going up and down the stairs, but nothing was there. I plan on going back with a different friend soon to explore more of the buildings. The Ghostly House Guest. I've had several. Most were in a house I used to own, and there was one time I was sitting alone in my bedroom and felt someone sit on my bed. I was wide awake, so I know it wasn't a dream. The blankets even pulled down with it. Another time, I was home with my three small children, all alone, and a lantern that we had hanging was swinging back and forth, but no one was even near it. And another time, I heard a strange rolling noise coming from my attic. It sounded like dozens of marbles rolling back and forth. Poltergeist from the past. When I was 3 or 4 years old, we lived in a house in Wichita, Kansas. It had been an old plantation house that was split into apartments. My mother told me that one night she heard me screaming and she came running out of her room to see me running down the hall from the bathroom. I had gone to the bathroom on my own and she told me that I told her there was this man in my bathroom. Of course, she went running into the bathroom but found no man. The bathroom window was too small for anyone to fit through, and upon searching our part of the house, she didn't find a trace of anyone having broken. She asked me to describe the man, and I told her that he had a pair of revolvers, was wearing a pinstripe suit, and had a mustache. I never saw the man again, but I wouldn't go to the bathroom by myself anymore. About a month later, she was cleaning up the kitchen sink when she found that the back wall was a false wall and pushed it out of the way. Inside was a small area big enough for a person to fit in. There were old bottles, an old blanket, and pinned to the wall the pinstripe suit. She was freaked out, to say the least. When I was 6 years old, my mom brought it up again around my grandparents. My grandfather had all these books about the Old West with pictures in them, so he pulled them out and told me if I saw the person to tell him. As he was flipping through, I did see this person, and the picture I pointed at was one of Wyatt Earp wearing the exact same suit as the man in the bathroom. The roommate that wouldn't rest. I lived in an apartment with two other girls, and I would come home and feel a presence. You know, like someone else is home. Even after checking every room and knowing no one else was home, I would still feel the presence and feel like I was being watched. When I would sit on the love seat that kind of faced our hallway, I would see a flash of red sometimes in the corner of my eye. This would freak me out because there wasn't even anything on the wall or anything red in that area. Finally, one night, we were all home and we got to talking. It came up that we had all had the similar experiences with feeling like someone was home and seeing the flash of red. All of a sudden, the phone rang and the caller ID was our number. We answered and we could hear the music playing in the room where the other phone was. No matter how many times we hit off the phone, it wouldn't turn off. And my roommate swears she didn't leave the radio on in her room. We all slept in the living room that night, huddled together, and after that, none of us wanted to stay there. For the next couple weeks, we felt the presence even stronger and saw more flashes of red. 6 weeks later, we all moved out. My roommates rented different apartments in the facility, and I moved away. I still get chills when I think of that place. She sees dead people. I have seen those who have passed, but usually cannot hear them. It's not all the time. It's really strange and creepy. I never met my husband's cousin, but attended the funeral with him for support. I saw his dead cousin standing by his casket watching his brother make a tear-filled speech. I just kind of stared at him a bit and freaked out. He was shaking his head, looking rather sad. Then he noticed me and he just scrunched his face like he was trying really hard to look at something. When my husband touched me to hold my hand, I looked away. When I looked back, he was gone. I also used to see our dead dog clear as day walk down the hallway, and a few others in my family. Also, we have Dottie, who is a little girl that stays in my son's room and cries when they are gone. I cannot see her but hear her. My son has claimed to see her numerous times, and my husband has seen her as well. Spooky little spirits. Shortly after moving into the house, I was trying to go to sleep when I felt the bed shift at the end like someone had just sat down. Thinking that it was my daughter, I sat up to tell her to go back downstairs, but no one was there. After a few seconds, I laid back down and felt the mattress rise up as if someone had gotten off the bed. When my youngest was a baby, she used to follow something through the house, sometimes out of nowhere. She would stare and point. especially up at the stairs to our bathroom. We've talked to our neighbors, and one of the grandmothers who visits from Mexico says that when she comes here to visit, she sees a little girl and a boy at her house, but we only have daughters. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to thumbs up or thumbs down this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Um, I'm looking for more ideas of what videos I should do next, and I've come across a website from the Paranormal Society, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you creeps are familiar with. These stories are from that website, and I thought it'd be pretty cool to share it with you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and post the link down in the description. I'm also going to do some more Reddit stories, hopefully in the next upcoming week, and maybe some video projects with animations. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see how that goes. Anyways, thank you for tuning in. Good night, creeps.